We're here because you are selfish, ungrateful, and ripping this family apart. My mother said that into a microphone in my parents' living room. On my 30th birthday, 40 people were sitting on folding chairs staring straight at me. My father was holding a 3-page paper filled with everything I had supposedly done wrong since I was 8 years old. My sister pointed her phone at my face, streaming live on TikTok. I didn't cry. I didn't walk out. I just sat there, waited for them to finish talking, and then I said 6 simple words that changed everything. Funny thing is, I've been recording too. What happened in the next 11 minutes ended 6 relationships in that room, and my sister deleted her entire TikTok account before she even reached her car. Before I continue, please take a second to like and subscribe, but only if you truly connect with this story. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I would honestly love to know where you're watching from. My name is Faith. I'm 30 years old. I work as an ER nurse in a small town just outside Columbus, Ohio. This is the story of how my family threw me a surprise intervention for my birthday, and how it turned into the worst night in Mercer family history. Let me take you back 3 months before that night, to a phone call I was never meant to overhear. First, let me paint a picture so you understand what my life looked like before everything broke apart. It's a Friday evening. I just finished a 14-hour shift in the emergency room. 2 car crashes, 1 cardiac arrest, and a child who swallowed a quarter. My scrubs smell like iodine and stale coffee. I'm sitting in my car in the hospital parking lot, engine off, eyes closed, just breathing slowly. Then I check my phone. 3 messages. Mom. Faith, the insurance bill came again. Can you cover it this month? Your dad's hours were cut. Kristen, my older sister. Hey, can I borrow $400? There's an online course I need for my brand. Dad, just a picture. Of a roofing invoice, no words, just the photo. I open my banking app and start doing the math I do every single month. Mortgage payment for my parents' house, $100. Mom's health insurance supplement, $340. Kristen's car payment, $280. Groceries I drop off every Sunday, around $150. That's about $20,000 each month, almost half of what I take home. My apartment has 1 bedroom. My furniture is from IKEA. My refrigerator usually has 2 meal prep containers and a half-empty bottle of hot sauce. I drive a 2014 Honda Civic with 130,000 miles on it. I haven't taken a vacation since I finished nursing school 8 years ago. Not 1 trip. And here's the part that matters. I never complained. Not once. I grew up watching my grandmother, Ruth, stretch every dollar like it was made of gold. She used to say, "Family takes care of family." I believed that with my whole heart, so I took care of them. I just didn't realize there's a difference between taking care of someone and being taken from. But I was about to learn that lesson, because the money I had been sending every month, not all of it was going where I thought it was. Sunday. Dinner at my parents' house. Every week, same routine. I arrive at 4 o'clock. I help Mom prepare food, set the table, wash whatever dishes are left in the sink from the night before. By the time everyone sits down to eat, I've already been working for an hour. That particular Sunday, Mom is glowing. She's telling Dad all about Kristen's TikTok account. She's building a personal brand, Gary Life Coaching. She already has almost 2,000 followers. Dad nods proudly, like Kristen just got accepted into Harvard. I wait for a pause in the conversation. I got promoted last week, I say quietly. Charge nurse. It's a leadership role. Mom reaches for the bread basket. That's nice, honey. Can you grab the salad from the fridge? Kristen shows up 45 minutes late. She's holding a bottle of wine. Not expensive, but the simple gesture earns her a big hug from Mom at the door. I've been there since 4. No one hugged me. She sits across from me, flips her hair back, and I notice her earrings, small pearls in a vintage setting. I've seen that design before. Those are pretty, I say carefully. They look like Grandma Ruth's. Kristen shrugs. Aunt Jeanette gave them to me. Said Grandma didn't want them anymore. I glance at Mom. Suddenly, she's very focused on her mashed potatoes. Grandma Ruth wears her pearls every single time I visit her. Every time. She didn't give those away. But no one at the table wants to talk about that, so I let it go. That's what I always did. I let things go. I let the comments slide. I ignored the favoritism. I accepted the silence where gratitude should have been. I was very good at letting things go. Until the night I couldn't anymore. 3 months before my birthday, on a Tuesday evening, I stopped by my parents' house to grab a jacket I had left there the Sunday before. The back door was unlocked. It always is. I step inside. The kitchen light is on. I hear voices. Mom and Kristen are talking around the corner. I almost call out. Almost. Then I hear my name. We'll do it on her birthday, Mom says. Everyone's already invited. We sit her down and tell her the truth. She's selfish. She controls us with money, and we're done walking on eggshells around her. My hand freezes on the doorframe. Kristen laughs. I'll record the whole thing. This is exactly the kind of content my page needs. Raw, real family drama. There's a short pause. What if she stops paying? Kristen asks. Mom laughs. Short and confident. The kind of laugh you give when a child threatens to run away from home. She won't. She's been paying for 8 years. She didn't stop when I forgot her college graduation. She didn't stop when your father said her career was just bedpans and paperwork. She's not going to stop because of one little evening. But what if she does? Then 40 people just watched us beg her for help. If she walks away. After that, she proves everything we said. She's trapped either way. Good, Kristen says. And if she causes a scene, even better. Shows everyone she can't handle the truth. I stand there for maybe 10 seconds. It feels like 10 full minutes. My heartbeat is loud in my ears. My legs feel weak and hollow. I back out through the door without making a sound. I get into my car and sit in the driveway, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring at the garage door. I stay there for 20 minutes. Then I call Naomi. She's been my best friend since college. She's also a civil rights attorney. I tell her everything, word for word. She listens without interrupting. When I finish, she asks one question. Do you still have that voice recorder app from the malpractice scare last year? I do, I say. I installed it when a patient's family threatened to sue the hospital. Naomi had suggested it at the time. Keep it, she says, and start using it. I didn't plan revenge that night. I planned survival. I just didn't realize yet how much I would need it. Over the next few days, I did what I always do. I made a list. Not of feelings, but of consequences. If the intervention happens and I just sit there and accept it, 40 people will leave that room believing I'm the selfish daughter destroying her family. 40 people in a small town where everyone knows everyone. 3 of those people work at my hospital. Mom invited them. I found that out through Naomi, who sent me a screenshot of a Facebook message from a mutual friend. Mom had written to Marcus, my direct supervisor, to Carla from the ER, to Dr. Patel. She told them it was a surprise birthday gathering and that she would love for Faith's work friends to show support. Show support, that's what she called it. If Marcus watches my mother publicly tear apart my character, every conversation I have with him afterward will be filtered through that moment. Her own family thinks she's a problem. In a small hospital, reputation is everything, and my mother was about to destroy mine. If I defend myself at the intervention, if I argue or raise my voice, I become their proof. See, this is exactly what we're talking about. If I don't show up at all, Mom tells everyone I didn't even come to my own birthday gathering. That's how selfish she is. 3 doors, all traps. I explain this to Naomi over coffee, my hands wrapped around a mug I'm not even drinking. She stirs her latte slowly and says, they set the stage. You didn't choose the audience, but you can choose what gets performed. What does that even mean? I ask. It means you need a 4th door. I stare at her. She looks right back at me. That's when the plan stopped being about just surviving and started being about truth. Here's something most people don't know about Ohio. It's a one-party consent state. That means if I'm part of a conversation, or even just present in the room, I can legally record it. Naomi confirmed it twice, so I started recording. Not with a hidden camera. Not with anything dramatic. Just an app on my phone. I would open it before walking into my parents' house every Sunday and close it when I left. Simple. The first week, nothing unusual. Mom talked about a church bake sale. Dad watched football. Kristen didn't show up. The second week I was standing at the kitchen sink after dinner, rinsing plates when I heard Dad's voice coming from the garage. The door was slightly open. He was on the phone. His voice sounded different, softer, lighter, almost like a teenage boy talking to his first crush. "Yeah, Linda, Tuesday works. Diane has Bible study. I'll tell her I'm picking up parts at the hardware store." A woman's voice answered on the other end. A warm laugh, comfortable, familiar. "She doesn't suspect anything," Dad said softly. Dad says it has been 22 years, and she still believes I go bowling on Tuesdays. I hold the edge of the sink so tightly my knuckles turn pale. A plate slides, taps against the basin. I grab it before it falls. Dad doesn't notice. He is still, laughing. I finish washing the dishes. I dry my hands slowly. I walk out to my car, sit inside, and stare at my phone. The app is still on. The waveform keeps moving across the screen. I was not searching for this. I was looking for safety, but a recorder does not choose sides. It captures everything, and apparently everything inside the Mercer house was worth capturing. Week 4. I show up early, about 20 minutes before dinner. The front door is locked, so I walk around to the back. Mom's bedroom window is open slightly. Her voice floats out. She is talking on the phone. Speaker is on. I can hear both voices clearly. "Gary doesn't know about the $14,000, Mom says. I moved it to my personal account right after Mom's estate sale. He thinks the furniture sold for less than it really did." Then Aunt Jeanette's voice comes through the speaker. "Smart move." "And the pearls. I already sold the bracelet. Got $800 for it. If Ruth asks, we just say it's at the jeweler getting cleaned." "Fine," Mom replies. "Just don't let Faith find out. She's the only one who still visits Ruth every single week. If Ruth mentions the bracelet, Faith will start asking questions. Faith won't find out. She's too busy paying your mortgage." They both laugh. I stand in the backyard near the recycling bin, listening to my mother and my aunt laugh about stealing from my 82-year-old grandmother. My phone rests in my jacket pocket. The small red bar on the screen pulses softly. $14,000. That is 7 months of the mortgage I had been paying. The mortgage I believed was keeping a roof over my parents' heads while they struggled. They were not struggling. Mom had $14,000 hidden away in an account Dad did not even know existed, funded by my grandmother's estate, while I ate meal prep from plastic containers and drove a car with a cracked windshield. Now I had 2 secrets saved in my phone. And there were still 6 weeks until my birthday. 6 weeks of Sunday dinners. 6 weeks of smiling as I walked through that door. I could handle that. I had been handling it for years. The next Sunday, Derek does not come to dinner. He is picking up an extra shift. Electrical work at a new housing development on the edge of town. He works hard. He always has. Kristen used to brag about that when they first got married. Tonight, she is not bragging. 2 glasses of wine in, Kristen leans toward Mom across the table. I sit at the other end, cutting my chicken. Invisible, as usual. "Derek is useless," Kristen says quietly. "But the dining room is small. He cannot fix the sink. He cannot get a promotion. I married a man who peaked at 35. Mom does not even react. You could have done better." "I wish I never said yes at that altar," Kristen mutters, draining her glass. "I keep thinking if I had not gotten pregnant that first year, I would have left." Mom pats her hand gently. "You still have time. Dad is in the living room. He does not hear. Or maybe he does, and just does not care." I say nothing. I keep eating my chicken. My phone sits in my lap, recording every word. 40 minutes later, we are clearing plates. Kristen steps into the hallway with her phone pressed to her ear. I hear her voice change completely. Honey. Soft. Sweet. Warm. I miss you, babe. Save me some leftovers, okay? You're the best thing in my life. She hangs up, walks back into the kitchen, and pours herself a third glass of wine. I look at this woman, my sister, who just called her husband useless, who said she regretted marrying him, who 10 minutes later told him he was the best thing in her world. And I think about Derek, at a job site right now, running wire through fresh drywall, because he wants to provide for the woman who criticizes him behind his back. Every person in this family wears a mask. I used to be the only one who did not. Not anymore. 2 weeks before my birthday, Naomi sends me a screenshot. It is a Facebook message from my mother to a woman named Peggy. Peggy happens to be friends with Carla from my ER. Mom has asked Peggy to pass along the invitation to my work friends. The message says, "We would love for Faith's work friends to be there. It is a special evening. We want the people who matter most to her to show their support." I stare at that phrase. Show their support. Then Naomi sends another screenshot. Mom messaged Marcus directly. Marcus, my supervisor, the man who signs off on my schedule, my evaluations, my future at that hospital. Marcus, you have known Faith for years. I think it would mean the world to her if you came. My hands start shaking. This is the first time during this whole process that my hands actually shake. I call Naomi. My voice cracks once, then I steady it. She invited Marcus and Carla and Dr. Pham. There is silence on the line. That changes everything, Naomi says finally. That is my career, Naomi. If Marcus sits in that living room and watches my mother call me selfish and ungrateful, if he sees my father reading a list of my failures like I am on trial, he will never look at me the same way. None of them will. Then we do not just survive the night, Naomi says calmly. We make sure the truth is louder than their script. I close my eyes and take a breath. The same kind I take before a code blue. Deep. Controlled. Separating panic from protocol. My mother turned my birthday, my living room, and my workplace into weapons with one invitation. She believed she covered every angle. She did not know about the fourth door. Naomi and I sit in her car outside a coffee shop 10 days before my birthday. The engine is off. Rain taps against the windshield. Ground rules, Naomi says. She counts. On her fingers. 1. You walk in like it is a normal party. You smile. You greet people. You do not give any signals. Okay. 2. When they start, you let them talk all the way through. Do not interrupt. Fine. 3. When they finish, you ask, once calmly and clearly, can we discuss this in private, just the family? And if they say no, that is rule 4. If they refuse to stop, if they insist on doing this in front of 40 people, then the recordings play. Their choice, their stage, your truth. I nod slowly. Ohio is a one-party consent state, she reminds me, for the 3rd time. You were present for every conversation you recorded. It is legal. The consequences are social, not criminal. Nobody goes to jail. But nobody hides either. I look down at my phone. 4 files sit in a folder I labeled insurance. Not because I am trying to be clever, but because that is exactly what they are. File 1, Dad and Linda. File 2, Mom and Aunt Jeanette, the money and the jewelry. File 3, Kristen talking about Derek. File 4, Mom and Kristen planning, the intervention. I back them up to cloud storage. I send copies to Naomi's email. One more thing, Naomi says. She reaches into the back seat and places a small Bluetooth speaker on the center console. It is black and about the size of a soda. Can. Your phone speaker will not be loud enough for 40 people. I pick it up. It feels light. It does not look powerful. You do not have to shout, she says. You just have to press play. I hope I will not need it. But I have stopped hoping for much when it comes to my family. Saturday morning, one day before my birthday, I drive 40 minutes to Maple Ridge, the assisted living facility where Grandma Ruth lives. Her room smells like lavender lotion and old books. She sits by the window in her wheelchair, working on a crossword puzzle with a pen, not a pencil. That is Grandma Ruth. There is my Saturday girl, she says when I walk in. I pull up a chair beside her. We do what we always do. She tells me stories about Grandpa Earl. I bring her butterscotch candies. We watch 15 minutes of Wheel of Fortune together, even though it is a rerun we have already seen. So, she says during a commercial, break, big birthday tomorrow. Your mother planning something? She is. Good. She adjusts her reading glasses. I hope she is being kind about it. I do not answer. Grandma reaches over and takes my hand. Her skin is thin like paper, but her grip is strong. Your grandfather always said the Mercer women are loud, but the strong ones are quiet. I squeeze her hand gently. Then she asks about the jewelry casually, the way she asks about everything. Like she already knows the answer but wants to see if you will tell the truth. Jeanette was supposed to bring my bracelet last month, the pearl one with the clasp. I have not seen it. I swallow hard. I know that bracelet was sold for $800. I know because I heard my aunt say it out loud while my mother laughed beside her. I am sure it will turn up, Grandma. She studies my face carefully but does not push. When I leave, she sends me a text message. She just learned how to use the phone I bought her last Christmas. The message is full of small mistakes. It says, "Whatever they do tonight, remember who raised you on Saturdays. I am proud of you always. I sit in my car and read it 3 times before I start the engine." Saturday evening, Naomi comes to my apartment with takeout and the Bluetooth speaker. We eat pad thai on my couch, the one piece of furniture I truly love, and she goes over the plan one more time. The speaker connects to your phone in 3 seconds, she says, holding it up. I tested it at my office. Clear sound from across the room. She shows me how to pair it again, even though I already know how. We practice once. The audio fills my small living room, sharp and clear. My father's voice saying he deserves better. My mother laughing about the money. Kristen's quiet, cruel words about her husband. It sounds different when it echoes in open space. Bigger. Harder to ignore. Naomi turns it off quickly. You are not doing this to hurt them, she says. You are doing this to stop them from hurting you. I nod, even though my chest feels tight. Before she leaves, she looks at me seriously. If they had just kept it private, if they had just talked to you like normal parents, none of this would be happening. I know. But they did not. So tomorrow, if they choose a public stage, they get a public truth. When Naomi closes the door behind her, the apartment feels very quiet. I sit on my couch, staring at the small black speaker on my coffee table. It looks harmless, almost simple. Like it could play music at a picnic or background noise at a barbecue. Instead, it holds the weight of 4 conversations that could change everything. I pick up my phone and scroll through the folder one more time. Insurance. I plug the speaker in to charge fully. I set out my clothes for tomorrow. I even wrap a small gift for myself, something simple I bought last week. A reminder that even if everything falls apart, I can still give myself something honest. Then I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. 22 years, Dad said. 22 years of thinking I was naive, of believing I was the problem, of paying bills I did not need to pay, of trusting people who were quietly building a story about me behind my back. Tomorrow they think they are going to tell their version. Tomorrow, if they push, I press play, and, for the first time in my life, I will not be the quiet one in the room. I'll keep it in my purse with the zipper slightly open. Where are you going to sit? Back row near the door. If anything turns messy, I'll be right there. I pick up the speaker. It's tiny, just a small black cylinder made of plastic. Tomorrow night, it could be the loudest sound in the whole room. If I don't use it, I say, we go home, eat cake, and I spend my 30s in therapy. Naomi doesn't smile. And if you do use it, then at least the right people feel embarrassed for once. She pauses, holding her chopsticks in the air. Faith, I need you to really hear this. Once you press play, you can't take it back. Your dad's affair, your mom's hidden money, Kristen and Derek, everything out in the open in front of everyone. There is no version of tomorrow night where life goes back to normal. Naomi, normal is me paying their mortgage while they plan to publicly humiliate me. Normal is my sister calling her husband useless and then filming my intervention for online views. Normal was never good. She nods slowly. We sit quietly for a minute. The apartment feels still. My phone lies on the table. 4 audio files lined, up in a row. Each one a door that only opens one way. Try to sleep, she says as she leaves. I don't. Not because I'm afraid, but because I'm finished rehearsing what I'll say when they finally stop talking. 2 a.m. I'm sitting on my bed with the lights off, earbuds in, listening to the recordings one more time. File 1. Dad's voice loose and careless. Tuesday works. Linda Diane's got Bible study. His laugh, a laugh I never hear at the dinner table. File 2. Mom and Jeanette. Gary doesn't know about the $14,000. Then Jeanette, smooth and calm. I already sold the bracelet. Got $800. File 3. Kristen. Brave from wine and bitter. Derek's useless. I wish I never said yes at that altar. Then 40 minutes later, sweet like Sunday morning. You're the best thing in my life, babe. File 4. The one that started everything. Mom's voice. Calm and organized, the way she sounds when planning a church fundraiser. We do it on her birthday. We tell her she's selfish. If she cries, even better. I pull the earbuds out. The apartment is completely silent. The streetlight outside throws a strip of orange across the ceiling. My family is building a courtroom in their living room tomorrow. They've written the charges, invited the witnesses, practiced the speeches. They even hired a camera crew. My own sister, live streaming my trial for strangers online. And they have no idea the defendant has more to say than anyone in that room wants to hear. I plug in my phone, set my alarm for 9 and close my eyes. Tomorrow is my birthday. 30 years old. I used to think turning 30 would feel important. Like a celebration, like the start of something new. Instead, it feels like a sentence being handed down. But here's what they don't know. The sentence isn't mine. It's theirs. Let me step outside the story for a moment. I want to be honest. The night before, I almost didn't go. I almost packed a bag and drove to Naomi's place and spent my birthday eating ice cream and pretending none of it was real. But here's what stopped me. If I don't show up, they tell the story without me. 40 people hear their version, and I become the villain who couldn't even face her own family. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Would you have walked into that room or stayed home? Tell me in the comments. Now let me take you to the actual night. I pull into my parents' driveway at 6:15. Cars line the street in both directions. I count 11, 12. This is more than a birthday dinner, more than a surprise party. My phone is fully charged, the app is open. The speaker is already connected. I smooth my blouse, check my reflection in the rearview mirror, take one slow breath, walk through the front door. The living room has been rearranged, the couch pushed against the wall, the coffee table removed. In its place, 4 rows of folding chairs, maybe 10 in each row, all facing a single spot at the front of the room where a microphone stands on a shiny chrome tripod. Behind it, taped to the wood panel wall, a banner made from white butcher paper. Written in blue marker in big block letters. We love you enough to tell the truth. No cake, no balloons, no gifts. I scan the room. 40 faces. Some smiling nervously, some avoiding my eyes. I spot them one by one. Marcus, my supervisor, in the second row, arms crossed. Carla next to him, gripping her purse tightly. Dr. Pham near the back, looking confused. Neighbors I've known since I was a child. 2 of Mom's Bible study friends wearing matching cardigans. Cousins I see once a year at Thanksgiving. Kristen's college roommate. And in the far corner, Kristen standing behind a tripod, phone mounted, red light glowing. She's live. Naomi sits in the last row near the door, her purse resting on her lap, zipper open 2 inches. She gives me the smallest nod. I look at the microphone, at the banner, at 40 people who came to watch my family put me on display. Then I look at the one empty chair in the front row, center, facing the crowd. My seat. I sit down. Mom steps up to the microphone. She's wearing her good cream blouse, the one she saves for church services. Her hands don't shake. She smiles. At the room the way she smiles at potluck dinners, warm and practiced. "Thank you all for coming," she says. "I know this isn't what Faith expected tonight, but as a family, we decided it was time to be truthful." She pulls a folded paper from her pocket and slowly opens it. "Faith, honey, we love you, but we can't keep pretending everything is fine." She reads. She tells the room I'm selfish, that I hold money over their heads like a weapon, that I decide when and how much I give, like they are some kind of charity case. She says I'm cold, that I never call my father on Father's Day. She doesn't mention that Dad hasn't answered his phone on Father's Day in 3 years because he's always out picking up parts. She says I'm tearing the family apart. That Sunday, dinners have become uncomfortable because of my attitude. She pauses and looks at me with soft, practiced concern. "We're not doing this to hurt you, Faith. We're doing this because no one else had the bravery." The room is completely quiet. I hear a folding chair creak. Someone coughs. Marcus uncrosses his arms and leans forward. He's watching carefully. I can feel it. 2 of Mom's Bible study friends nod along. The woman in the green cardigan wipes her eyes. She believes every single word. I sit perfectly still, hands resting on my knees, face calm. The same expression I wear when a patient's family is yelling at me in the ER. Calm, present, absorbing. Because Mom isn't finished, and neither is Dad. Dad stands up. He doesn't look at me. He reaches into his shirt pocket and pulls out 3 sheets of lined paper, folded into thirds, covered in handwriting. I recognize the handwriting immediately. It isn't his. It's Mom's. She wrote the list. He's just reading it. He clears his throat. "Faith, your mother and I, we made this together. It's a record of patterns, things we've noticed." He begins reading. "Faith, age 8, broke the kitchen window playing ball and lied about it. I didn't break that window. Kristen threw a softball through it. I was in the backyard, and I got blamed because Kristen cried first. Faith, age 13, told her aunt she didn't want to attend church camp. Correct. Because church camp was in July and I had a summer reading program at the library. Mom said I was being difficult. Faith, age 15, refused to let Kristen borrow her car for prom. I was 15. I didn't even have a car. Kristen wanted Mom's car. Mom said no. I got blamed. Faith, age 22, moved out without asking permission. 22, moved out without asking permission. He reads for 7 full minutes. 7 minutes of childhood scraped clean and held up under bright light in front of 40 people. No one interrupts. A few people shift uncomfortably. Carla has her hand over her mouth. Derek, Kristen's husband, stares at the floor. Dad folds the pages and finally looks at me for the first time. We raised you better than this, Faith. He sits down. The room waits. I wait. I let 10 seconds pass in silence. Let it sink in. Let every person in that room feel the weight of what just happened. Then I stand. The chair scrapes softly behind me as I rise. Every head turns. Mom, Dad. My voice is steady and calm. I hear you. I understand that you feel strongly. Can we talk about this privately, just the four of us? Mom shakes her head before I even finish speaking. No. This is exactly why we're doing it here. Because privately, you shut us down. These people are witnesses. Witnesses? I repeat. Sit down, Faith, Dad says from his chair. Kristen's voice cuts in from the corner. Just let them finish. This is good for you. She adjusts her phone on the tripod. The red light continues blinking, still live. I look around the room slowly one more time. Marcus is typing something on his phone. I wonder if it's a note, a message to HR, a text to a colleague. You won't believe what I'm watching right now. The woman in the green cardigan is nodding again, like she's at Sunday service listening to a sermon about repentance. Dr. Pham looks uncomfortable, shifting in his chair. Carla won't look at me now. Derek still stares at his shoes. My cousins look confused, like they walked into the wrong event. 40 people, 40 witnesses, and none of them know the whole story. I take one slow breath. My heart is beating hard, but my hands are steady. Naomi's purse is still open 2 inches. The speaker waits inside, small and quiet, but powerful enough to change everything. Mom steps back toward the microphone as if she's about to continue. That's when I decide. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but because the truth deserves the same microphone. She thinks this is love. She believes she is watching a family that cares enough to speak honestly. I look over at Naomi. She is, sitting very still, almost frozen. Her hand rests lightly on her open purse. Inside, the speaker is waiting quietly. I shift my eyes to Derek. He is staring at Kristen's tripod with a look I recognize from the ER. Confusion slowly sliding into dread. I take a breath, the same, steady breath I take before I call a time of death. Not because this is the end, but because it is the start of something that cannot be undone. Okay, I say. You've had your turn. I open my purse and take out my phone. I lift it so everyone in the room can see it clearly. Funny, I've been recording too. The room falls completely silent. Then I press play. The Bluetooth speaker wakes up from inside Naomi's purse. The sound is clear and loud, every word sharp as glass. Dad's voice fills the room. Yeah, Linda, Tuesday works. Diane's got Bible study. I'll tell her I'm picking up parts at the store. A woman laughs on the other end. Warm, comfortable, familiar. She doesn't suspect anything. Dad continues. 22 years and she still thinks I go bowling on Tuesdays. Silence. Heavy silence. The kind that feels thick in the air. Like you could touch it. Mom turns slowly toward Dad. The color drains from her face. Not slowly. All at once, like someone pulled a plug behind her eyes. Dad jumps forward in his chair. Turn that off. Turn it off right now. I don't move. The recording keeps playing. Dad's voice sounds relaxed and easy. I'll bring dinner. That Italian place you love. She'll never know. The woman in the green cardigan stands up quickly. She looks at Mom, then at Dad, then toward the door. She picks up her coat and leaves without saying a word. Her friend stands and follows her. Mom's hand grabs the back of a folding chair so tightly her knuckles turn pale. She is staring at Dad, not at me. At him. Gary, she whispers. Diane, it's not what you think. You have to understand. 22 years, she says. Her voice breaks. Bowling. The room feels like it is shaking even though no one is moving. People glance at each other, then quickly look away, then stare down at the floor. Marcus slowly places his phone face down on his thigh. I tap my screen. The recording stops. I look around the room. My voice is steady and calm, like I am reading from a chart. That's recording 1. I pause. There are 3 more. No one breathes. No one shifts in their seat. The banner hanging behind me says, We love you enough to tell the truth. It has never sounded more ironic. I press play on the second file. This time it is Mom's voice. Confident. Secretive. The tone she uses when she believes no one important is listening. Gary doesn't know about the $14,000. I moved it to my personal account right after Mom's estate sale. He thinks the furniture sold for less. Then Aunt Jeanette's voice joins in, faint but clear on speakerphone. Smart. And the pearls. I already sold the bracelet, got $800 for it. If Ruth asks, we just say it's at the jeweler getting cleaned. Dad turns toward Mom. His face looks broken, half guilt from the first recording, half anger from this one. $14,000, he says slowly. From Ruth's estate. You told me the auction only brought in $4,000 total. That's taken out of context, Mom says quickly. Aunt Jeanette is sitting in the third row. She jumps up like the chair burned her. Diane, you told me no one would ever find out. The room doesn't explode with yelling. Instead, it fills with low murmurs, a rolling wave of whispers and disbelief. A cousin I barely know leans toward Jeanette. You sold Grandma Ruth's bracelet? The pearl one? Jeanette's mouth opens, closes, opens again. No words come out. Mom's Bible study friend, the second one who stayed, stands now clutching her purse tightly. She looks at Mom with an expression that feels like she is replaying every conversation they ever had with new understanding. Then she walks out. Dad grips his knees. Mom stands alone by the microphone, the paper with her speech crushed in her hand. I stop the recording. That's 2. 4 relationships cracking apart in real time. And I still have 2 files left. The room is no longer watching me. They are watching each other. I glance at Kristen. She is behind her tripod, but the red light is gone. At some point during the first 2 recordings, she stopped the live stream. But it does not matter. Hundreds of people already watched the first half. The damage is already floating in the cloud. Her eyes are wide. She knows what is coming. I press play. Kristen's voice fills the room, slightly slurred from wine. Derek's useless. Can't fix the sink. Can't get promoted. I married a man who peaked at 35. Mom's voice answers. You could have done better. Kristen again. I wish I never said yes at that altar. The audio is perfect. Every breath, every sound. Derek is sitting in the second row. His hands were clasped between his knees before, confused and silent through everything else. Now he goes very still. A different kind of still. Not shock. Recognition. Like hearing something he always suspected but never heard clearly until now. He stands slowly. He does not look at me. He does not look at Mom or Dad or Jeanette. He looks at Kristen. She sees him. Her face falls apart. Derek, wait. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it like that. He says nothing. Not one word. He holds her eyes for 3 seconds. I count them. Then he walks down the middle aisle between the folding chairs and out the front door. He does not slam it. He simply closes it. A soft click that somehow sounds louder than everything else tonight. Kristen rushes toward the tripod and grabs her phone. I watch her tapping fast, deleting the app, deleting the stream, trying to erase a night she helped create. She is crying now. No one moves to comfort her. The last file sits on my screen. For a moment, I almost do not play it. The room is already broken. But this one is not about secrets between them. This one is about me. About tonight. About how this was never an intervention. It was a show planned by my mother, acted by my father, filmed by my sister, with 40 unaware guests sitting in folding chairs. I press play. Mom's voice from 3 months ago in the kitchen where I grew up. We do it on her birthday. We sit her down and tell her she's selfish. If she cries, even better. Shows everyone she can't handle the truth. Kristen's voice. I'll film the whole thing. My page needs content like this. Real family drama. People love that. Mom again. And if she threatens to stop paying the mortgage, we tell everyone she's abandoning her family. She won't risk looking like that. The recording ends. I let the silence stay. 40 people now know the real truth. Not Mom's version. Not the banner's message. Not the 3-page list she printed. The real truth. Marcus slowly picks up his phone and slides it into his pocket. His face shows he is thinking differently now, replaying everything he was told. Gary sits slumped in his chair, chin resting on his chest. Diane stands alone at the front of the room. No one stands beside her. The microphone is still there, but it feels like a monument to something that just died. I lower my phone. That's the last one, I say quietly. No pride, no anger, just truth. Now you all know who is really selfish in this family. I pause. It isn't me. I need to stop here for a moment. When I played those recordings, my hands were steady. My stomach was not. Because I understood that. Once I pressed play, there was no undo button, no reset, no second chance. No one in that room would ever see each other the same way again. Including me. So let me ask you something. Did I go too far? Or should I have pressed play the moment Mom picked up that microphone? Tell me what you think. And if you are still listening, thank you. The story does not end here. What happened next is the part that truly changed my life. The living room looks like the remains of a storm, which in many ways it is. Kristen ran out after Derek. Jeanette sits with her arms wrapped tightly around herself, staring at the carpet. Dad stands at one end of the room. Mom stands at the other. Between them are 4 folding chairs and a 22-year lie. I slip my phone back into my purse. I stand straight. I do not raise my voice. I want to say this once, clearly, so there is no misunderstanding. Everyone looks at me. Starting tonight, I am no longer paying the mortgage on this house. I am no longer covering the insurance. I am no longer making Kristen's car payments. I have already set every automatic transfer to cancel. Effective at midnight. Mom's head snaps toward me. You can't do that. We depend on you. Depend on me, I repeat calmly. Not the other way around. And you just spent 30 minutes telling 40 people how awful I am. So I am giving you exactly what you asked for. A life without my selfishness. From somewhere in the back, a cousin lets out a low whistle. Carla gives a small nod. I see it from the corner of my eye. Mom opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. Faith, this isn't fair. You're overreacting. I asked to speak privately. You said no. I asked you to stop. You said no. I am not overreacting. I am responding. Look at Naomi. Ready? She stands up, places her purse over her shoulder, and walks toward me. I turn to the room one last time. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry it wasn't the celebration you were expecting. Then I turn and walk toward the door. My mother's intervention is finished, but mine is only starting. I'm 3 steps away from the door when Marcus rises from his chair. In 6 years of working under him, I've seen Marcus stand up for many things. Patient rights, safe staffing numbers, union votes. He is not a dramatic person. He speaks like someone who understands that real authority does not need to be loud. Faith, wait. He buttons his jacket and takes one slow step into the aisle. I've worked with you for 6 years. I've watched you hold a dying man's hand at 3:00 a.m. and then record his vitals at 3:15 without missing a single detail. I know exactly who you are. He pauses for a moment. This doesn't change anything at my hospital, except maybe my respect for you just increased. He says it in a normal tone. But in that room, at that second, it feels like a final judgment. Carla stands up next. She reaches for her coat. I'm driving you home. You shouldn't be by yourself tonight. I feel something move inside my chest. Not exactly relief, but something close to it. Like putting down a heavy bag I didn't even realize I had been carrying for years. I walk past Mom on the way out, She grabs my sleeve. Her fingers are shaking. Faith, please. I stop. I look at her hand on my arm, then at her face. Mom, you had a microphone. I had a phone. I gently pull my sleeve away. The difference is mine told the truth. I walk out the front door. I don't slam it. I close it the same way Derek did. Softly, with a quiet click. On the porch, I check my phone. There's a text from Grandma Ruth sent 2 hours earlier. She goes to bed early. Happy birthday, my girl. You are the best of us. I press the phone against my chest and stand there in the cool Ohio air until Carla brings the car around. Carla drives. Naomi sits in the back seat. No one speaks for the first 2 minutes. The only sounds are the tires rolling over wet pavement and the soft hum of the heater. Then Naomi finally says, "You okay?" I think about it. Not the polite answer. The honest one. "I'm not sure yet," I say. She nods. That's enough. We're on Route 33, halfway to my apartment, when I unlock my phone and read Grandma Ruth's message out loud. Every word, even the spelling mistakes. Whatever they do tonight, remember who raised you on Saturdays. I am proud of you always. Carla's hands grip the steering wheel a little tighter. Naomi makes a small sound from the back seat. Not crying exactly, but very close. Your grandma, Carla says softly. Sounds like the kind of woman I'd want at my own intervention. I laugh. It's the first time I've laughed all night, and it comes out shaky and wet. Naomi leans forward between the seats. She raised you right, Faith. The rest of them are just background noise. We pull into my apartment complex. Same parking lot, same cracked pavement, but something about it looks different tonight. Cleaner maybe. Or maybe it just feels like it truly belongs to me now. I unlock my door, step inside, and drop my purse on the counter. 36 unread messages light up my phone. I don't open them. Not tonight. Instead, I open my banking app. 3 automatic transfers. Mortgage, $100. Insurance, $340. Car payment, $280. I cancel all 3, one at a time. Confirm, confirm, confirm. Done. Then I sit on the edge of my bed in the dark and listen to the silence. No calls to return, no bills to cover for someone else. No Sunday dinner to prepare for people who think I owe them. For the first time in 8 years, my paycheck is only mine. It's quiet. It's small. It's everything. Monday, the next day, Dad moves out. Not in a loud way. No suitcases thrown on the lawn. He just packs a duffel bag and drives to his friend Bill's house. He doesn't tell Mom. She comes home from the grocery store and finds his side of the closet half empty. She calls me 14 times that day. I don't answer. Not because I want to punish her, but because I have nothing left to say. Day 3. Kristen calls. She's crying so hard I can barely understand her words. Derek filed for separation. He won't talk to me. He changed the locks. I'm sorry to hear that, Kristen. You ruined my marriage. I close my eyes and hold the phone a little away from my ear. You ruined your marriage in that kitchen 6 weeks ago. I just pressed play. She hangs up. Day 5. A cousin I haven't spoken to in years calls me. He says he contacted Grandma Ruth to check on the bracelet. Ruth told him, "My bracelet?" She said it was at the jeweler getting cleaned. That was 4 months ago. He confronted Jeanette. She admitted she sold it. He told the rest of the family. Jeanette's phone has been quiet ever since. Ruth asked me to come by Saturday. I want to hear this from you, she said, not from them. Day 7. Mom posts a long emotional message on Facebook. Our family is going through a hard season. We ask for your prayers and your kindness. No one likes the post. No one comments. Her 2 Bible study friends quietly unfriend her. 1 week. That's all it took. Not for things to fall apart. They had been falling apart for years. 1 week for the glue to disappear. And the glue was me. It had always been me. A month passes. The dust doesn't settle. It just shifts into new places. I sit down with my banking app and a cup of coffee and finally do the math I should have done a long time ago. The $2,100 I was sending home every month. Here's where it goes now. My student loans are paid off in 6 weeks. The remaining balance was $3,800. Gone. I open a retirement account for the first time in my life. I'm 30 years old, and I have never put a single dollar toward my own future. I set up automatic deposits. $200 a month to start. It's not a lot, but it's mine. I book a flight to visit Grandma Ruth. Not a short 40-minute drive. A real visit. 2 full days. I reserve a small hotel nearby so I can spend slow mornings with her and not rush. At the hospital, no one mentions that night. Not once. Marcus greets me the same way he always does. A short nod, straight to work. But he places me on the new trauma protocol committee. It's more responsibility. It's also trust. I accept it. Carla and I begin having lunch together every Wednesday. We never used to. She talks about her daughter's soccer games. I tell her about Grandma Ruth's crossword puzzle obsession. Normal conversations. Easy ones. One Saturday, I walk into a hardware store and buy a small plant for $5. I put it on my kitchen counter in the place where my phone used to sit while I calculated how much I owed everyone else. Naomi texts me that evening. How does freedom taste? I take a picture of the plant and send it back with the message, like a $5 plant from the hardware store. She sends a long line of laughing emojis. I smile at my phone in my quiet apartment, and it doesn't feel empty at all. 6 weeks later, I walk out of the hospital after a double shift. My feet ache. My scrubs smell like antiseptic. I'm thinking about leftover pasta and my couch. Then I see her. Mom is standing near my car, arms crossed, no coat, even though it's 40 degrees. Faith. Mom. I'm your mother. You can't just cut me off. I unlock my car and place my bag on the passenger seat. I didn't cut you off. I stopped the money. Those are not the same thing. We need to talk. Then talk. She straightens her back and lifts her chin. I did what I thought was right. That intervention came from love. Faith. Even if you don't understand. That. I lean against my car. I am tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. Mom, you wrote Dad's script. You invited my boss. You told Kristen to live stream it. You planned it on my birthday so I couldn't refuse without looking ungrateful. I take a breath. That's not love. That's a performance. Her jaw tightens. So what do you want from me? An apology. A real one. Not a Facebook post. I'm not going to apologize for caring about my daughter. Then we're finished here for now. I open my car door. She doesn't move. Mom, I love you, but I won't let you treat me like a bank account, and then call me selfish for having limits. When you're ready to actually talk, you have my number. I get into the car, start the engine, and drive away. In the rearview mirror, she stands where I left her, becoming smaller and smaller. I cry on the way home, the first time since that night. Not because I regret anything, but because of loss. Loving someone and accepting their mistreatment are not the same thing. I chose love. I simply stopped accepting the rest. So here's where everyone ended up. Mom and Dad separated officially. Dad now lives in a 1-bedroom apartment near the hardware store on 5th Street. He called Linda after the party, the woman from the recordings. She didn't answer. It turns out Linda has a husband, 2 children, and a mortgage of her own. Dad was just her Tuesday distraction, nothing more. He lost his marriage and his fantasy on the same night. Kristen and Derek finalized their divorce 3 months later. Derek kept the house. His name was on the mortgage, his payments, his credit score. Kristen moved back in with Mom. 2 women. In a 3-bedroom house with very little to say to each other. She deleted her TikTok account permanently. All the raw, real family content disappeared overnight. Jeanette tried to avoid the bracelet issue. She couldn't. Grandma Ruth called, her directly. I was there for that conversation, sitting in Ruth's room at Maple Ridge. Ruth looked at her and said clearly, "I want the money or the bracelet. Choose one." Jeanette had neither. She had already spent the $800. The family hardly talks to her now. Mom still calls me. Not every single day, not every single week. Sometimes she sends a text that says, "Thinking about you." Sometimes I write back. Sometimes I leave it there. There's no plan, no pressure, no automatic payment keeping us connected. And me, I'm 31 now. I still work at the hospital. I still drive the Civic, though I finally repaired the windshield. I still go see Grandma Ruth every Saturday. I still eat meal prep, but the containers are nicer now. Glass instead of plastic. A small change. My change. I didn't break my family. The truth did that. I only handed it a microphone. And maybe that sounds harsh. But this is what I've learned. The truth does not destroy strong things. It only breaks the things that were glued together by lies. Let me speak to you for a moment, just straight and honest. I'm not telling you to secretly record your family. I'm not saying you should cut everyone off or stand up and cause a scene at your next holiday dinner. Every family is different. Every story carries its own weight. But if you are listening, and something feels close to home, if you're the one paying bills for people who still call you ungrateful, or if you're the one showing up early to set the table while someone else shows up late with a bottle of wine and gets all the hugs, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not selfish for having a limit. You are not ungrateful for wanting respect. And you are not destroying your family by refusing to hold it together at the cost of yourself. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut everyone out. They are doors. You choose who walks through, when they walk through, and under what rules. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. That is self-respect in its simplest form. My grandmother sent me a message the night of my birthday. I've probably read it 200 times since then. Whatever they do tonight, remember who raised you on Saturdays. She raised me on Saturdays because my parents were too busy, too distracted, too focused on everything that was not me. She showed me how to do a crossword puzzle in pen, not pencil. She taught me that real strength doesn't have to shout to be heard. She taught me that loving someone does not mean letting them drain you dry, and then blaming you for the mess they made. I used to believe that standing up for yourself meant yelling, slamming doors, making everyone uncomfortable. I thought it had to be loud to matter. It doesn't. Sometimes it means sitting quietly in a folding chair while 40 people look at you, waiting calmly and patiently for your moment to speak. And when that moment finally comes, you don't scream. You don't cry. You simply press play. Last week was my 31st birthday. Naomi came over. Carla came too and brought her daughter. 2 friends from the hospital showed up. One neighbor, the one who always says hi in the hallway and finally got a real invitation, came with a small gift bag. 6 people in total. My apartment. A cake from the bakery on Maple Street. Lemon with cream cheese frosting, because that's what Grandma Ruth always picked for my birthdays when I was small. The candles leaned to one side. Nobody tried to fix them. Nobody stood up to list my flaws. Nobody set up a microphone in the middle of the room. Nobody aimed a camera at my face waiting for a reaction. Grandma Ruth called on FaceTime. She sang happy birthday off key and off rhythm. Everyone in my living room sang along with her, also off key, also off rhythm, and it was the most beautiful, imperfect sound I have ever heard. I blew out the candles. Naomi clapped loudly. Carla's daughter asked if she could have the corner, slice with the extra frosting. I told her yes, of course. 1 year ago, 40 people sat in my parents' living room to explain who they thought I was. This year, 5 people sat in my apartment, and no one needed to explain anything, because they already knew me. After everyone left, I washed the dishes. I stood at the sink with warm water running over my hands. The apartment was quiet. A plant sat on the counter, the same counter where I once calculated transfers and made sure money moved on time. The same counter where I tried to prove my worth, in numbers. My name is Faith Mercer. I am 31 years old. I'm an ER nurse in a small town in Ohio. I pay my own rent. I pay my own bills. I make my own choices. And for the first time in a long, long while, I truly like the woman blowing out those candles. The best birthday gift I ever gave myself was the truth. The second best was silence. And the third gift, the one I am still slowly opening, is the sound of my own life, finally clear, without anyone else's noise drowning it out. If you stayed with me all the way to this point, thank you. I mean that sincerely. This story was not simple to tell, and I know it might not have been simple to listen to. But if you have ever had to draw a line with someone you love, if you have ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping yourself, please understand that you are not alone in that choice. Maybe your boundary was small. Maybe it was something as simple as saying no to a favor you could not afford. Maybe it was refusing to answer a late-night phone call that always ended in guilt. Maybe it was moving out. Maybe it was speaking up for the first time at a table where you were always expected to stay quiet. Maybe it was deciding not to attend an event where you knew you would be the easy target. Whatever it was, it mattered. It still matters. There is a strange kind of grief that comes with boundaries. People do not talk about that part enough. When you stop over-giving, when you stop over-explaining, when you stop bending yourself into shapes that hurt, some people will not recognize you anymore. They will say you changed. They might say you became cold. They might say you think you are better than them. But growth often looks like distance to the people who benefited from your silence. I used to believe that love meant endurance, that if I just tried harder, gave more, stayed quieter, the balance would return. It did not. It only taught others that I would always adjust. The day I stopped adjusting was the day the cracks became visible. Not because I created them, but because I stopped covering them up. And here is something else I learned. You can love people and still choose space. You can forgive someone and still decide not to sit at their table. You can wish them well and still lock your own door at night. Those things can exist at the same time. They are not opposites. Some nights are still hard. Some holidays are still quiet in a way that feels heavy. Sometimes I look at my phone and think about calling first. Sometimes I type out a message and delete it. Healing is not a straight line. It bends. It pauses. It circles back. But it moves. I think about that room a year ago. The folding chairs. The faces. The sound of my own heartbeat in my ears. I remember how small I felt. And then I think about my apartment now, the crooked candles, the off-key singing, the warm water at the sink. I remember how steady I felt. The difference was not the size of the crowd. It was the absence of performance. I was not on trial. I was just present. There is power in being known without being judged. There is peace in being celebrated without being corrected. There is freedom in not having to defend your own reality. So if you are somewhere in the middle of your own story, if you are still sitting in that folding chair waiting for your turn, or if you have already pressed play and are dealing with the silence that follows, I want you to know this. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to tell the truth about your experience. You are allowed to choose a smaller room with softer voices. I would truly like to hear from you. What is the hardest boundary you ever had to set? What did it cost you, and what did it give you back? Share it in the comments. Your story might be the one someone else needs to read tonight. And if you want to hear another story that might hit even deeper, there is one linked in the description. Click it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one.
If you like the video, then subscribe our YouTube channel for more videos.